One big difference is ease of use. Azure Remote Rendering makes it really simple to view your content when every detail matters. And we've designed it to handle even the largest 3D models. And when I say large 3D models, I'm talking about over 1 billion polygons for triangular meshes and up to 2.5 billion points for point cloud lines. Another differentiator is that it leverages hybrid rendering, meaning that developers can easily extend their existing mixed reality applications and take advantage of cloud computing when needed. And so when you combine all this with the security, reliability, and production readiness of Azure, Azure Remote Rendering is a powerful enabler for your key mixed reality scenarios.
Hello and welcome everybody. Let me welcome David Han. He is an expert on UX design and much more, and he will tell us something about getting started in creating XR art. Stage is yours.
All right, thank you so much. All right, so what we're going to do today is I thought I'd just do a brief introduction to myself and how I find myself here, and then we're just going to jump right into a hands-on workshop. So if you are interested in following along, you can access the you'll need an account, and I'll enter that. And I'll show you how to do that when we get started. Okay, so let me start. This short portion will only take about 10 minutes or so. Let me make sure that I can present.
Yeah, no worries. There should be a present button on the bottom.
Yeah, I see it.
You can share your screen.
There we go. Okay, great. Ooh, that's neat. Okay, fantastic. All right, so as I said earlier, my name is David Han. I'm a immersive media artist. Let me just advance the slides here. I'm an immersive media artist and a educator and a scholar. I'm actually currently finishing my PhD in media studies at York University here in Canada, where my research focuses on employing structuralist approaches to explore the poetics of VR. And I've been making work in VR since 2015, sort of early 2015, when I first got my hands on an Oculus DK2. Let's advance this a little bit. So as a artist and educator, I'm very much interested in pushing the boundaries of this new medium, while at the same time trying to demystify the process of making work in immersive media. And as an educator, I've taught everything from university courses to community-based workshops, all with this focus on sort of pulling back the curtain on XR development. And in my arts practice, I've been fortunate enough to have been able to publicly exhibit some of my XR work, such as After Dan Graham, which is what we're looking at here. And about a year ago, I was approached by Styly to work with them and support their efforts in establishing an XR educational program aimed at artists and designers. And Styly's ethos is really about making both the creation and the distribution of XR art more accessible to a wider variety of people. And I really feel that this ethos aligned with my own sort of current beliefs in XR in general. So what is Styly? Just mute this so I can talk over it. Well, Styly is a cloud-based, no-code XR design and distribution platform developed by Psychic VR Lab out of Japan. Psychic VR Lab started in 2016 with this sort of core belief in the future of XR as a mainstream product and service, and Styly as an XR creative platform. And they launched this as a creative tool designed for artists passionate in the genres of fashion, art, music, culture, and more. And so Styly is this sort of cloud-based XR design and distribution platform. There are really sort of two main parts to it. The first part is a gallery, which is a massive collection of user-generated XR content. Currently, there are over, I think, 50,000 experiences from XR artists around the world, and this collection is growing as more and more people join and create work. All of these experiences are accessible through a browser, mobile devices via the Styly app, and on various XR headsets such as the Meta Quest 2. The Studio is an online web application that allows users to easily create both VR and AR experiences. Since the Studio is an online web application, one of the nice things about Styly is that it doesn't require a high-end computer to make XR experiences, and it doesn't require any installation of software. You know, I've done a lot of these sort of community-based workshops, and often access to technology becomes a real stumbling block. Not everyone has access to, the kind of computers that you might need to do work in, let's say, Unity and publish it out to a distribution platform. But one of the things nice about Styly is that all you need is a computer, relatively modern computer with a modern browser, and you're good to go. So in addition to the gallery and the Studio, one of the best things about the Studio itself is that Styly is suitable for both beginner and advanced XR developers. So if you're someone with a deeper knowledge of XR development, you can use Styly as a distribution platform because it has integration with Unity. So any of the sort of software that you might use in XR development, such as Blender or Maya, or let's say you're into photogrammetry using reality capture or Metashape, you can take all the assets that you're creating in this software, work with it in Unity, and then use the Styly plugin to then upload it into Styly so that you can then distribute it on Styly's platform. So in addition to the gallery and Studio, Styly also supports co-presence in virtual environments through what we call Styly sessions. And so in these sessions, a host sets up a number of scenes and then invites other people by sharing a link to come join them online, and then visit the various different virtual environments together. And one of the great things about these Styly sessions is that it doesn't really matter what kind of device you're visiting these environments on. You can be visiting on, a VR headset. You can be visiting on your mobile app, or you can be visiting through the browser, and everyone's sort of present together. Now, I know that there are a lot of similar platforms out there like Mozilla Hubs or Frame, and I've used a lot of them, and they're great for their own in their own ways. But I really do think that Styly is unique for a few reasons. Um, First off, there's no coding needed to develop and distribute a XR uh, um, scene. There's a very low barrier to entry, as I mentioned before, so you don't really need a high-end computer. Uh, it's in a sense, the word metaverse gets sort of thrown around a lot, but in a sense, it's a true metaverse in the sense that people across different platforms can be co-present in a virtual environment together. We've recently launched integration with MetaMask and OpenSea so that XR creators can sell their XR works or mint their XR works as NFTs. And lastly, it's really the only free no-code platform that I'm aware of, at least, that allows users to create and share both AR and VR experiences. And for me, this last point is really the most important one. As someone who's had a lot of experience trying to teach people how to make XR work, I really value a platform that allows me to take a group of people as young as 8 years old who have little to no experience with XR design and all its related processes, such as 3D modeling and animation, and have them create an XR experience within 15 minutes that they can not only experience themselves, let's say on a headset, but they can also share with their friends and family by just sending them a link, and those friends or family can then see the work that gets produced online. So now that I've mentioned that I can take people with little to no XR experience in XR design and have them create and distribute an XR experience in 15 minutes or less, I thought we can get right into it. If you do want to contact me after this talk, I'm more than welcome. You're more than welcome to grab my information here and contact me through any of these channels. As I mentioned earlier, if you are interested in following along, you do need to create a Styly account. You can scan the QR code now if you'd like, or just visit styly.cc and sign up for a free account there. And I'll give everyone a minute while I sort of prepare. And also, if there are any questions at this point, I'm more than welcome to answer any questions before I get started on the sort of hands-on portion of this demo.
Yeah, so thanks so far. I have a question right away because I always found it fascinating, like creating art in VR for the first time. How was your experience with that?
My own experience creating art in VR?
Yes, yes.
So I came at it from a media arts background. So I had a lot of experience making sort of large scale media installations where I was already thinking about media, time-based media, let's say video or audio, within a sort of spatial space, like within a spatial in a spatial way. And when I first tried VR, I immediately, back on that DK2, what was it, the Tuscan demo? I'm sure those of you who were around back then remember that. I was just completely blown away. I just thought, this is exactly where things are headed. And yeah, so the first time I started making art in VR, I was really struck by a few things, namely just how convincing, like just how little information we need to be utterly convinced that we're sort of transported somewhere else. And also, one of the things that really struck me was how I didn't have a body. I thought that was really weird. um, So yeah, just a few things like that that really sort of jumped out at me from the beginning.
Fascinating. Yeah, for me it was also completely magical. So if you guys you are watching just have any questions, just drop them in the comments and we will read them later. Okay.
Yeah, and please do feel free to interrupt me if any questions pop up while I'm going. I'm more than
Right.
happy to answer
Cool.
them as we go along.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to end this presentation. End show, and we'll just go right into my browser here. Okay, so this is the Styly website. When you go to styly.cc, you end up on, if you get there, this page here. If you haven't signed up yet, you can sign up for an account there. Obviously, I myself have an account, so let me just grab my information here. Okay, so I'm logged in here. I thought what we could do today is make one VR scene and one AR scene, see if we have time for that and try to squeeze it all in here. As I said, it's pretty quick, and if to actually make something from beginning to end, which is one of the best things about it. So I just clicked on the studio button here, and that launches your studio page. Now, if you've just signed up, you won't have a list of scenes here, but as you start creating scenes, they'll start to pop up along here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on this little create scene button. You'll have a few different templates here. Depending on whether you have a free account or a pro account, they'll vary. The one I'm interested in here is the VR scene template. So I'm just going to click that and I will give it a name. Global XR. Okay. Okay, so once it launches, and it shouldn't take too long, you're given this sort of default setup for a VR scene for Styly. Let me just look at my list here. Okay, so quickly in terms of navigation, your left click and drag on your mouse will orbit your scene. All right. Middle mouse button and click and hold will sort of move you around, pan left and right and up and down. And your right mouse button will look around. So I'm holding, clicking, and holding. Oh, and middle mouse scroll wheel, if you have one, will zoom in and out. And if you hold down the right mouse button, you then can use W, A, S, and D to move forward, W to move forward, A to move back, or sorry, S to move back, A to left, and D to right. The arrow keys also work on your keyboard. So, and if you've ever used Unity, you'll know that this is the exact same sort of navigation setup. So that's how you navigate around your scene. I just want to draw your attention to the top right corner here. You have a little gizmo that's showing you different views of your scene. So you can actually click on these and get various views of your scene. So if you want to see it from the side, you can click on the X, along the Z, from the front, you can click on the Z, or you can click on the Y to see it from the top down. And if you click on the middle, you can switch between perspective and isometric views. You can also just click where it says persp and ISO. And that could be helpful when you're trying to line things up in your scene. You also have a button here. If you click reset position, it brings you back to the default position in your scene. On the left side, there are a number of objects. So this is a hierarchy setup. These are all the objects that are in your scene currently by default. I'll go through them one by one here. The first one at the top is the transparent floor. This is a object that's added by default, and what it does is it creates a sort of ground on which, if you're viewing the scene with a headset, the VR teleportation will use the transparent floor as a sort of surface on which to allow users to teleport onto. So it creates a sort of a plane at y equals 0 as the sort of level floor of your experience. We have a marker here for your position. That's this object here. This represents the starting position of the user when they launch the experience. So if you were to move it around, for example, using the little gizmo at the bottom, you would change the person's position within the world when they first launch the scene. You also get a directional light by default. You also get a skybox by default, which is just this black void. And then you get this object called ground, which is just simply this grid that gives you sort of a reference for laying things out. I do recommend hiding it or deleting it before you publish your scene. Okay, now let's look at the buttons at the top here. If you click on the little hamburger menu in the top left corner, you'll get an option to see all your scenes that you've created. And you get an option for creating a new scene if you'd like. And then an option going back to this page here, your default main Styly Studio page. I'll just close that. Next to that is your Add Asset button. So this will allow you to add all the various types of assets. Now, one of the nice things about the studio is that it comes with a bunch of a library of various assets that you can add, but you can also upload your own assets. So let's try doing that. So let's add a space for which to sort of a setting for our scene. So I'm going to click on 3D object here. You have a few different categories here. Most of them will exist within this model category. As this category suggests, these are just primitive shapes like cubes and pyramids and spheres. And then there's a few others here that you can explore, hopefully on your own time after today. So I'm just going to click on model. And I'm going to scroll down. If you recognize any of these models, I believe some of them were rescued from Google Poly before it went down. So I'm going to click on the exhibition space too. But if something else grabs your eye, you feel free to experiment and play. All right. So this inserted this model into my scene. And I'm holding down my right mouse button here to look around and WASD to reposition my view here. The directional light has automatically influenced how we're seeing our scene here. You can see some light flooding in through here. And if I wanted to, I can change my light by selecting it in my hierarchy and then switching the tool that is associated with this particular object. So by default, the tool is the move tool, and you get your typical translate gizmo here. It allows you to move it around. But if you click on the tool button here that has now appeared, you can change between move, rotate, and scale. So I'll just cycle back to rotate, and I can change the direction of my light, perhaps. Maybe it's sort of late in the day, get these nice long shadows. Okay, let's see what else we can add to our scene. I'm gonna click on the add button again here, and then I'm going to select environment. I'm going to change the skybox from this void. Some of these skyboxes are sort of what's known as HDRI images. So they not only provide a backdrop to the entire level or an experience, but also lighting. So I'm just going to pick this first one here, and you can tell it's an HDRI image because it has this sort of sphere that's showing you exactly how the image will be lit up, as if or how a 3D object will be lit by the image. So I'm going to click on the Plum Dusk skybox and add it to my scene. And you can see that it's replaced the black void skybox. It's kind of hard to see how this is lighting my scene. So if I just turn off my directional light by clicking on the eye, you can see you're getting a little bit of light here. Now, I think that I'm only getting the skybox, so I'm going to try to add the light too by going to Scene, Light, and click on the Simply Sky Plum Dusk set. There we go. So now I have this image lighting my scene. You can see that it's casting shadows across the environment as if it's lit by this sort of area of light over here. That's quite nice. Okay. So I'm just going to add another model here. Let's say I want to add this cherry blossom model to place it in this sort of outdoor area. So I'm going to select the cherry blossom. There are a few keyboard shortcuts. They're the same as Unity. So in case instead, if this gets tedious, and it will if you're developing on the studio for quite some time, having to go over here and cycle through the tool, it's W for the move tool, E for the rotate tool, and R for scale. So you can quickly switch through them. I hit W to select the move tool, and then I'll hit R to scale this down. If I click on the little white cube in the middle, I can scale it evenly. I want to make sure that this is fitting in properly. I can see my top-down view, switch to isometric, zoom out here. If I hold down Shift and drag with my middle mouse button, I can pan down, and I can just scale this and maybe rotate it like so. Get out of isometric view. Okay. Add to my environment here a particle effect. Since I have this beautiful cherry blossom tree, I will add these fluttering particles, which are cherry blossom leaves here. You can see that they are sort of positioned in the middle of my space here. So I'm going to kind of stick them outside so that it appears as if they're falling around my tree here. They kind of look like they're coming through, so maybe I want to scale this effect down a little bit. There we go. That's pretty good. Let's add a few more things in here. I'll add the ground, so it looks like there's sort of a pile of leaves on my ground here. Stick that under the tree. There we go. Okay. I don't need this ground effect anymore, so I can click on it and hit delete on my keyboard, or you can click on the little cog here and select delete. All right. Now, I know some people will think, okay, well, I've gone through and added some models here, and you know, what else can I add? So if you'd like, you can add your own images or sounds or videos. So let's look at how that might work. So I'll click on image. I've uploaded this GIF image here, but you can, of course, upload one of your own. So I'll just select this. then I'll add it onto a screen. So depending on what kind of screen you want to display the image on, these will just show up as straight up screens. I'm quite partial to this holographic screen too. I think it looks kind of neat. So we can add that to our scene, perhaps scale it up. It's kind of neat. So it's an animated GIF there. Let's say you wanted to add some sound to this. So I will select music. I have some in here, but of course you can add your own. So I have this sound file here that's the sound of a forest, and I would like it to loop. So there, now we can hear, hopefully you can hear that sound. Let's see. Oops. All right, I'm just gonna mute it for now. Okay, so that added some background ambience to our environment. And in terms of adding video, oops, I will go to My Uploads, select video. I'll select what kind of video I want to add. In this case, I'm going to add a sphere screen. This is normally used for adding objects that, video that's sort of been recorded, 360 video that's been recorded, and then you create a sort of screen that is a spherical screen that then allows it to be displayed in 360. For today, I'm just going to take this video here, which is just a flat video of these waves, and upload it. And it's about 12 meg, so that might take a little bit of time. I don't want any audio, so after it uploads, there we go. I'll turn off the audio. At this point, are there any questions as this uploads? Nope. Are you able to hear sound? Am I sharing my sound as well?
So sound is not coming through. We have one comment which just tells you that it's cool what you're doing.
Okay, great.
So I will tell you when there's a question.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so the MP4 has been added, so I'm just going to add this to the scene. Where did it go? Wow, it is creating some crazy things here. There we go. Why is it flashing like that? Oh, for some reason, the screen is making my screen flash, so let's add it this way. Oh, that's very strange. It looks like it's applying the video to the entire. I just stuck it out in the world here, and I'm just scaling it up. So you get this sort of weird planety looking thing. I'm not sure why it's flashing like that. That's very strange. I don't think it will behave that way. Okay. So, okay, let's say I'm happy with all of this. I am just going to upload this. In order to upload it, you can click on the little world button here, and this says go to publish. You can give it a name. I'll just keep it as is, and then hit publish. This will send it to the Styly gallery. So it's now in the gallery. You can click on open in gallery now. And if I wanted to share this to people, I can just send them this link and it will take them to this page. Or I can click on share here and embed it, let's say, into a website if I wanted to. We can hit play to see what this looks like within our browser. So there we go. Yeah, fortunately that strange texture thing is not occurring. I think that's just a little bit of a glitch. There you go. Okay, so Also, if you have the Styly app installed on your MetaQuest 2, let's say you have the MetaQuest 2 headset, you can install through the App Lab the Styly app and then log in with your account, and then you would be able to check out this exact scene within VR. I could also load up this scene on the Styly app on my phone and see it there as well. I'll quickly show you. I don't know if there's going to be interest in a few other things. I overestimated how much time this would take, but I could show you, for example, if you were on Sketchfab, let's say, and you wanted to grab a model. Let me see here, Sketchfab. And I was looking at a model of a fish earlier. I believe it was this one. Let's say you've exhausted the models that you have available to you on the sort of built-in studio gallery. You can always try grabbing one here. This one is nice because it's animated, so it adds a bit of life to the model. You can go to download the model, and you'd grab the GLB format, which is, of course, the universal web format. I'm going to grab the smaller one here, and I'll just save it to my computer locally. And then we can go back into the studio and upload it as a model. So I'd go to My Uploads, 3D Model. I've uploaded it here already, so I won't waste any time. But we've added it. Now, this is one of the issues about downloading models from Sketchfab or any user-generated content. It might be coming in very, very large in this, or very, very small. In this case, we're really, really large here. If you select an object in the hierarchy and hit F, it will focus the object in your window here. So it looks like we have to scale this down quite a bit. So R for scale. Instead of using the handles, I'm just going to type in some numbers here manually. Oops, I need 0.02. So that's scaled evenly across all axes. Hit F to focus. There we go. It's a little bit better. We'll place this fish outside. And the last feature, if you want to try playing with it in your own time, is modifiers. So one of the neat things about Styly is that it adds ways within the studio to add some very simple animations and some very simple forms of interactivity. So let's say we wanted this fish to kind of swim around our building here. We can look at trying to do that. The first thing we're going to want to try to do is have it orbit, or let's say, yeah, orbit around our scene. So I'm going to click on the little cog here and say add modifier, and I'm going to search for animation orbit here. And if I see here, the radius is very small. It's only going in a very small circle. So let's say we do that and hit apply. So now it's moving. It's moving around this origin point. So if I just move this around my building here, it's now moving around, but of course it's not headed in the right direction. This is pretty silly. Radius probably could be a little bit bigger. Let's say 33. And, it's moving in the wrong, well, it's kind of the right direction. So there we go. So we also need this to be rotating, so it's headed in the right direction. So we can add another modifier, like rotate. Now it's rotating, but it's not in line with the right direction. So I think it's rotating a little too quickly. Maybe 15. I'll try that. Oh, it's going backwards. So its starting point is actually incorrect. So I'm going to pause the orbit animation by just clicking on the eye here. And where did my fish go? Oh, it's right there in the middle. Just going to hide my building for a second. Where's my building? Exhibition space. There we go. And we want it to orbit, but I want to turn it around. So I'm going to rotate it so its starting position is the other way. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. Still backwards, hey? It's pretty close though. So I actually want it to orbit the other way. So I think I would then change this angle velocity along the y-axis to be minus, and that might actually solve our issue here. No, not quite. Although it's closer. Anyhow, I think you guys can fiddle with the numbers if this is something you want to try to do, and understand how to get it to work. Where did my building go here? There we go. Get this massive weird fish flying around in our space. Okay, so it's now 4:40. I understand that this was supposed to be about 40 minutes. So I'm free to answer any questions if there are any questions, or I can continue playing around in this and show a few more features.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much. Very interesting what you can create in such little time. I'm super interested in the Unity integration of this. I also created a theme, which I posted in Discord. So
oh, awesome. Oh, I can't wait to see it.
The Unity integration. So first of all, this is super easy to use if you are habited to Unity. So that's great that you can deploy so easily and share it as well. But yeah, how does it look in Unity?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So I have it open here. There's simply a plugin that if you go to styly.cc/download, or if you're from the main page, you just scroll all the way down to the bottom and go to download here. And that takes you to this page here, and there's a plugin. Now, there's a few catches, of course. It's we recommend that you use this specific version of Unity, so it's 2019.4. And you download the plugin. It's just a package that you install. I don't know, how long Unity projects can take to open, so I'll see how long this one takes to open. But essentially, once you generate your scene in Unity, so you could do all of your layout in Unity, and then what you can do is just upload the entire scene. So you simply just right-click once the plugin is installed and set up. You do have to log in with your account settings, and then there's an API key that you have to enter into the package settings. Then once you do that, you can just simply upload your scene, and then your scene shows up as, I can show you mine, for example, under Unity, all of your assets. So these are it's a project that I've been working on here, and this is an entire scene that I created in Unity. Now it's going to take a little bit of time to actually arrive in the online studio, because it's around 500 megs, 600 megs. But once it's there, then all you have to do is then publish it out, and you're good to go. So yeah, here we go. Let me just hide these things so you can see it. You can also, if you make prefabs, you can also upload your prefabs as individual elements. And So here's the scene that I made. This is all made in Unity. And then I just uploaded the entire scene. This particular project's using a little bit of post-processing, so you're getting some fog, some ambient occlusion. It's using baked lighting, so you get some really nice lighting effects and so on. So if you are familiar with those workflows and that workflow in Unity, you can make some pretty interesting work. Does that answer your question?
Yes. I'm super interested in the work you've done. Maybe you can walk around and
this one?
show us. Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you mentioned this. So Styley has one of the things they do every year, and they encourage their employees, I guess, to enter as well, is they do an awards contest every year called the New View Awards. And so this is my entry into the New View Awards. So New View Awards. We'll just see that. And the call just ended about just earlier this week, actually. And they hand out prizes for AR, and it's cash prizes. You can see it's some of the previous awards. I think this is the 5th year that they've been running this awards contest. And it's pretty amazing. Yeah. So grand prize is $10,000 US. But I will show you the work itself. It's this one here, gallery scene page. Just close these off so it's not too heavy. Unfortunately, you won't be able to hear the sound. I think I didn't check off that little box when I shared my screen. But of course, yeah, you can see this. It's best experienced on a headset. It's meant to be seen on a headset, but yeah, this is it here.
Cool. And is it possible to have 2 different sounds? Maybe one sound for the beach, maybe one for the building?
Yes, absolutely. So, unfortunately, I wish you could hear the sound here. This particular experience, because it's in Unity, instead of having just one sound for the entire level, it actually uses makes use of Unity's spatialized sound system. So I've placed different like ambient sounds in each of these rooms. So as you move through them, there's sort of one overarching sound, ambient sound. And then as you move through these, you get different ambient sounds that are spatialized within the space itself. And the nice thing is that the spatialized sound also works in their AR experiences as well. So you can make an AR scene have spatialized sound, and I think that's a pretty underutilized method that's used in that hasn't been explored a lot in AR. Is the use of spatialized sound in AR experiences. So yeah, so this particular scene has spatialized sound in it, and yeah.
Cool. I have another question, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there interaction also possible? Maybe you can click on a tree or something?
Yes, absolutely. So interaction is possible. The interaction SDK comes with some very, very basic use cases. So within the studio itself, you can allow users to use their controllers to pick up objects and to drop objects. Right now, the integration of interaction for things like collision and that kind of thing is still being worked on, I believe. You can also do things like within Unity itself, you can add in, let me just delete this here. You can add in far more complex forms of interaction. So people have made entire games in Styley, which are pretty interesting. You can use a program or a plugin for Unity called Playmaker. You can't add your own custom scripts. I guess there's some sort of security issue with taking a Unity program with its custom scripts and making it into a what is essentially a web-based VR experience. But you can use Playmaker, and Playmaker is used by a lot of developers for adding all sorts of various kinds of interaction. So yeah, interaction is definitely possible, especially if you're developing on the Unity side of things.
Cool. Thanks. Can you send me the link? Maybe our YouTube viewers also want to experience that.
Yeah, the link to Styly?
Just to the project you had open.
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's see here. It was this one. And I don't know where they...
on the right, private chat.
Oh, right.
Just post it there.
There we go.
Yep, thank you. All right. I think that's time. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was a joy following you along. And it is a fantastic tool for people who don't want to go too much in depth and use Unity. It has the same functionality as Unity, but it's much more easy to use. So thanks so much. And that's it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks for having me. It was a real pleasure.
Cool. All right, outro time. Bye-bye.
Bye.